destroying people with Lux necessarily. He's the Syndra and the Kassadin games and the Kha'Zix games have been the best ones for him. The ban that makes a lot of sense to me is the Singed ban already, because they're just getting that away from Godbro. That's one of the big things that he plays well. Obviously the Sona and Elise bans. It's about time people don't let Corrales play Sona.
Definitely is. I mean, he's played a lot of Sona in the LCS so far. He said that if Sona's available, he's his most comfortable champion. He thinks the impact that Sona brings to the game is what you need there, and he's quite happy to hit one guy with a crescendo because that's always the key man, or so he says. It's
the excuse if you want to miss your Sona ult, be like, that was the important target, and we got him. Hit the Sona ult just right, tail end of it on one guy. Karthus ban as well, though. That's gotta be at Schleya or Freddy, because Freddy has played like
well.
bot lane Karthus, mid lane Karthus. Schleya had a lot of Karthus games in solo queue as well. So, you know, this first pick for Against All Authority is actually a tricky one. I'm not sure what they're gonna go for yet. I know they want to pick really strong lanes, maybe a Renekton for Freddy, but that's a total guess.
Yeah, I mean, Freddy has, there's a Thresh obviously left open in this one. And we've been seeing more picks than bans of Thresh, which kind of surprises me in a way, because, you know, he is still very much a game-changing champion.
And he's almost supplanted Blitz in a lot of ways. Like the one game we saw Thresh banned, we saw N-Rated play Blitzcrank instead because he wanted to land those hooks. I don't necessarily know why teams have stopped banning him, because they're still all picking him early, right? Yeah. So they still see a lot of value in the Thresh, as far as I can tell. I love seeing him play. Like even in the last game, the Thresh plays by Krepo really create a lot, going in with slivers of health. He had like a quarter health and he went in, put down the box, and really just created the team fight for everyone. And especially going up against, if Copenhagen Wolves wants to pick a Jarvan, that's a tough pick in, because Thresh can actually, his little E flay spell, if you see the flag go down from Jarvan, you just use it, you're going to stop him from knocking you up on Thresh every time.
Yeah, and that's you know, a great counter there in a way to him as well. So it looks like Varus will be the choice here for the test. We've seen him actually playing a lot of amazing Ezreals, but he's kind of stopped that whole Ezreal play.
It almost feels like across the board, Ezreal is seeing less and less play. A lot of it's being supplanted by Varus. Varus is super, super popular, and this is actually almost an example as Against All Authority picks Teemo.
Whatever.
Not real. It's not happening. Talking about Varus, the incredible crowd control he brings in Season 3, as well as the percent health, since everyone started health stacking, got people practicing Varus, and now even though people are kind of away from health stacking, they're still wanting to do it more and more.
Well, it's not going to be a Teemo, we can say that for sure, as the boost come out when he changes back in towards Volibear, who is locked in for Against All Authority. Again, let's say week 3, maybe it was week 2 that we first saw it coming out there for Diamond Procs. Before that, we just didn't see Volibear. Like, he just wasn't even...
Didn't exist.
No one thought about Volibear at all, but then again, no one thought of Shyvana before Intel Extreme Masters Kiev.
Or even Jungle Masses, right? Like, they
True as well.
It's the Moscow 5 innovators, and it's Volibear time now. Everyone plays it. We were talking earlier, it doesn't really fit some teams' play styles, because Volibear is very all-in. You go and you are fighting.
Yeah.
So, also against Jarvan, it's kind of hard since Volibear really has to run straight at the target, especially since Virtual does have the Ghost. He won't be able to get through any of the Jarvan ults, so there is a potential of both these teams kind of picking pseudo counters into each other, mainly because they have their preset composition that they want to go into, and they're just going with it.
Well, let's have a look then what Copenhagen Wolves are going to add in there to the Varus and the Jarvan that they have in there right now. And it looks like a Lulu, which, you know, Deficio, we've seen him play Thresh to a great level. Obviously, this time around that can't happen. There's no Sona in there available. And I think with those two down, Lulu is the next most popular.
And this would be really smart if they go with Renekton as well, because then they deny it from...
Fiora.
They would deny it from Freddy. Actually, I see the Rumble already picked. I imagine that's going to be Freddy on the other side. Yeah, they're trolling the crowd. They didn't get the reaction of Fiora that they'd want to get out of Teemo.
Yeah.
The Lulu is also particularly good for them. Deficio wants to redeem himself a bit on this. Last week, when they played against Fnatic, he said Deficio almost blamed himself for the loss. He was getting caught in team fights, but the biggest thing he said is he wasn't getting off his Lulu ultimates. So in this game, look for him actually to be really quick with his Lulu ultimates and make sure that he always gets them off in team fights.
And there is a Kha'Zix hovered over, which again surprised me, because when we've seen Kha'Zix being played well, he has been a complete game changer.
Yeah.
He's been so good. I mean, Alex Hinch's performance yesterday obviously is the one that really springs to mind for you. But again, he's come down towards these last picks. Yeah, I mean, mid lane, you've got that Rumble in there, which you'd naturally expect to be with Freddy.
And this could be very, very good for Against All Authority. The only issue with this is if they go with Kha'Zix, that lets Bjergsen have his pick as they do lock it in with whatever he wants to go against it. Vayne for No as well. Very, very interesting. Last week when he played Vayne against SK Gaming, he destroyed. That was also against a Jarvan, but it was a mid lane Jarvan. I would love to see Bjergsen play Zed here because he would be able to hop on Vayne. Vayne can't necessarily avoid all the spike damage amazingly well from Zed. And I haven't seen Bjergsen play Zed, but with his Kha'Zix play yesterday, with his Cinder play, Bjergsen's shown that he can play almost anything. It would make an all physical damage team for Copenhagen Wolves, but I'd still like it a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going to go for here. They said, again, it's surprising almost. With some games, he's bam, first pick. No even thought process involved with that one. Yeah, in this one, we see him picked as the bang last choice for Wolves.
Yeah, in high elo solo queue over in Korea, he's the most banned champion. So he's like, he was what the Shen has been for the past year in almost the entire world. It's becoming Zed in high elo Korea. A lot of players love him in competitive. He's getting more and more steam here. It's like the one shot that he gets, and they've obviously went for it. Yeah,
going straight in for that one. So we've got the two teams here locked in there. Hard one to call this one. I mean, Copenhagen Wolves, as he said, they're in decent form here, despite being bottom of the table. Against All Authority have been a little bit up and down. They've been very yo-yo-ish in the league so far.
I just look at Against All Authority's team comp, and they've swapped around Freddy and Schleia. I don't know who's going where. Are we going to see a mid lane Rumble, or just see Schleia play Rumble top? This is what Against All Authority has. They confuse you in that way. They have a strong synergy in Vayne and Thresh, but not necessarily the strongest lane. You look at Copenhagen Wolves, their laning is incredibly strong. The only trouble they might run into is the fact that they are all physical damage. They do have a lot of crowd control, and they do have a lot of armor shred, but that's going to be their weakness.
So here we go, an important game for both teams. You know, Against All Authority are in that position, that mid-table where you still, with wins, can be really pushing up to the top spots, or, you know, a couple of unlucky weeks, and you're fighting against those bottom two spots. Copenhagen Wolves, on the other hand, they're rooted to the bottom of the table. This is their time to shine, to pick up wins. They have to be winning these kind of games if they want to get out of that bottom spot.
4-11, but that's after an 0-9 start, so they could really be on a tear. Like, if you look at the last 6 games, I'd say they have a better record than Evil Geniuses or SK Gaming, right? Like, if you're just looking at the last few weeks of the season, they are not an 8th place team, which puts them in a tough situation, and I love that side.
Yeah, that side's been doing the rounds here. They've been trying to sneak it in behind the French casters to get on the screen. Security guards have been shooing them away every single time. But this time we obliged with the cameraman, so they got themselves up on the stage. But we are about to get into game then. Against All Authority here on the blue side, up against Copenhagen Wolves here on the red side. As we've said, real important games. I mean, we seem to make that point all the time now, and that's because of the stage we're at in this season. We are pushing up towards the point where we hit the halfway mark and relegation starts to set in.
We're like just over the halfway mark of the first half of the season, right? So it's really the players starting to focus more and more. Once again, 8 and 7 are immediately dropped into the relegation playoffs. If you're 3 through 6, you then have kind of a playoff to see if you lose that, then you go into relegation. And obviously 1 and 2 don't get involved in the relegation whatsoever. Both of these teams, you know, at least Copenhagen Wolves still in 8th place, wanting to get out of there, and Against All Authority has to make sure they don't drop down.
There's a dancing bear in the middle and a dancing ninja. So Bjergsen and Virtual just having a bit of a dance-off here to start off the game. But at level 1, Jack, we saw earlier on how good EG are at that, how they really plan out that level 1. This time around, do you think we can see anything?
Well, I wonder how much planning they've went through if they both run into the mid lane and start dancing with each other.
Maybe that's part of the plan.
It's part of the plan. It's like, well, if he dances long enough, we can sneak in behind him and get him. And there's actually been regular level 1 wards placed down. Copenhagen Wolves have went for 3. There have not been any vision wards placed yet. They don't have any deep wards in the jungle, so like none of these teams are really that curious what the other team's doing. I'd have to say Against All Authority would be more vulnerable to the jungle invade. They put the ward down at their blue, but this is a very much, we're just gonna do regular jungle. Looks like, is this gonna be a lane swap or not? No, I don't think so. Yes, it is, it's a lane swap, it's 2v1.
Yeah, we've got the Freddy Kha'Zix down at that bottom lane. If I can get his name out there, that would always help. Svenskeren just been helped off here by Godbro on that Renekton. If anyone knows how to play against that Renekton, it's going to be Freddy, his most played champion so far. But of course, 1 versus 2. Who do you think has the upper and bottom hand, let's call it, in these 1v2 lanes?
Yeah, I gotta say the Renekton, which is on Copenhagen Wolves, has the short end of the stick, or the good end of the stick. He's the one who wants to do this. It's the Kha'Zix who's going to be in trouble. The strange thing about this, though, is this is reverse of the regular 2v1s you see. Usually you see the AD carry and support from red side go up top because they have access to the double golems. But I think these teams mind-gamed each other, and they were probably both looking for a 2v2 and just ended up walking to the wrong lanes. Freddy, down here with Kha'Zix, struggles in 1v2s. Every time you see a Kha'Zix that's not in mid lane, he pretty much always gets 1v2s because until he gets his void spikes, he has a really hard time surviving.
And Svenskeren on the blue buff right now for Copenhagen Wolves. Virtual, the opposite side doing his blue buff, as well. So we'll see how they actually get involved in these lanes in the coming moments. We have wards down actually on both sides of the map. Freddy's not got one in that tri-bush there, so that's a possible opportunity for a 3-man gank down at bottom.
The only thing that's warding against that is the fact that Svenskeren's going up to protect Renekton from getting 3-man dove, so they'd have to bring Zed down and he'd end up walking through a ward. We may not see too much here because Nono and Keralis have the pink in the tri-brush, so no matter what really Svenskeren does, he's going to get spotted. He's just going to go back and farm his jungle like normal.
Yeah, straight back in there. Let's have a look at the early CS here. We can see that Varus, as you predicted in that 2v1 lane, having a better time of things. He's 22 to the 16 of Vayne right now. Freddy is sat on 11 CS, and Godbro only got 1 creep to his name right now. So we'll see how that actually works out for him. He's trying to get in there, but you can see the damage that comes down from Keralis and Nono, even at this early stage, is significant.
Yeah, I may have called this wrong right at the start. I figured he started with the red elixir, whereas Freddy started with the cloth armor down bottom. But it does seem like Freddy is getting the better of this, whether that's Copenhagen Wolves doing a really good job with the Tess and Deficio, or doing not a good job denying Freddy, or whether it's just the fact that up top, Godbro isn't very good at the 1v2 on Renekton.
Well, we'll see how that all pans out. Virtual going to be helping Freddy here just to ward that bottom lane off a little bit. But honestly, I'm not sure what he's going to be able to hold on to. One thing that the Tess and Deficio have done well is damage on the turret. That is already fairly low. As we see Schley going in a little bit on towards Bjergsen, but I think he's going to struggle in this lane, at least until he gets home there and gets himself more items on the way. Yeah,
we don't see much mid lane rumble. There's a few players in solo queue that one of his name's like mid rumble GG, and he plays it every game. He's like Diamond 1, and he always just goes and ganks side lanes with it. But now we see the mid lane gank approaching from Virtual.
Yeah, Virtual going to start running in there, but we can see Bjergsen just waiting inside of the brush, and they decide not to follow through with that one. So a fairly pensive start to the game, a lot of protection coming in from the junglers rather than ganks. You know, they've just been there to make sure that they can hold onto the turrets that are there right now. Let's just skip up and have a look at the health on that turret at this point, and it's still pretty healthy. If you compare that to the bottom, it's definitely advantage Copenhagen Wolves on that front.
I think I figured out the reason there's the minion kill differential between Renekton and Kha'Zix, and likewise between Varus and Vayne. So what's happening in the top lane here is Against All Authority is focusing on denying Godbro minions, not on tower damage and not on harassment damage. But you look at the bottom side, and all the Tess is caring about and Deficio is getting minions and hitting the turret. That's why Freddy's been better at minion killing at the turret, but that's also why his turret is lower and why the Tess is getting more farm.
There's the Q coming through, lands nicely straight through onto the Tess. Virtual looked like he was coming out. Glitter Lance will just slow him right down there, and he can't push any further. And the Tess doing a lot of damage here. That next Q could actually be pretty deadly, and in the end, Freddy jumps away and will back off. There is Svenskeren getting involved in the top, of course. Was spotted there, I think, by Keralis just about as he headed down. He won't be able to make an appearance.
Yeah, and in that bottom lane, Virtual looks like he would be in dive potential. The turret is very, very low down there, and he might end up losing it right here. Like, he does have his passive and there's no ignite, but if Copenhagen Wolves wants to kill this turret, they can, and that's a very early 6-minute, 30-second turret.
6.5 minutes in, that's actually almost 1,000 gold lead that's given the Copenhagen Wolves now as well. We can see there 2.1 to 1,800 gold between the two AD carries, 60 to 45 CS there, so doing a good job. Zed also got a nice advantage in the CS in the jungle. It's advantage for Jarvan over Volibear as well. It's just this Kha'Zix Renekton that's still a little bit of a struggle for Copenhagen Wolves. You can see No, he is quite happy, even with Jarvan there right up in front of him, to keep putting the damage down.
He's a very, very confident AD carry player. Sometimes it gets him in trouble with positioning, but sometimes he just makes huge plays. And with Vayne, I really want to see how Nono plays again in these team fights, because you're almost like a potential to assassinate with Vayne in team fights. You can stealth through a front line sometimes and just get to those priority targets. And with the balls on Nonu almost, he's so aggressive, he can just make those plays.
Yeah, but as you said, can get caught out with him as well, and that's not what they want to happen as the AD carry support headed in towards this top side now. They surely know that Svenskr is in there as well, as Bjergsen actually going to go in here on towards Slayer. The Ignite is down. Bjergsen decides not to follow up. They're quite happy just to push in through. Here comes the gank. The hook will land on towards Godbro, but that will just be enough to send him back. 4 men in top lane. That's a lot of commitment.
They really want to counteract or get the second turret here. They've already left the bottom lane, and this is the big thing. Freddy's freezing down bottom, so there's no pressure on Copenhagen Wolves for sending these far off. They're going to probably stay in here as long as they can. They have almost no turret damage. What?
Wow, Corralius going in there. That was a risky play coming out. Gets polymorphed up by Deficio. But in the end, he will be safe as well. And now Godbro and Svenskr both going to go back, and bit chaotic here at the start of this game, which usually means we're going to see a real interesting one.
Yeah, I don't know what the benefit was of him going in, but now the flash or the ghost coming in from Virtual, and he burns a double flash from the Tess.
Yeah, the flash is burnt there as the Q comes out as well. Virtual, on the other hand, did use his ghost in that gank as well. So he was trying to get himself in there. Corralius' flash was obviously used as well. Slayer having no flash available in the middle, especially with that Jarvan around, could be dangerous times for him.
He's got to make sure now that they can't push up as much. They've already killed the one turret, and they're pressuring really hard here, and this is dangerous. I mean, Volibear's coming in again. Let's see what happens.
There's the ultimate coming in, but they've managed to get the hook. There's the fling back. The Test going to get exhausted as well. Can he get away from this one? I don't think he's going to be able to survive. He walks back off towards the turret to make sure Lulu is safe. First blood coming in for Against All Authority.
That was just over-aggressiveness by Copenhagen Wolves. They knew their flashes was down, and the Thresh Volibear gank is becoming the classic combination. You have to be aware of that every time you're pushed up in your lane. It almost means like if you're pushed up and you don't have flash, you're not allowed to be pushed up because you're in danger of dying in those situations. That really pulls Against All Authority close to even without them even taking a turret down yet. So if they can somehow get some damage onto any of these turrets. Actually, I'm looking at the turrets now, and they're not even close to it, but here, maybe a dive on Slayer.
Oh, this could be very interesting. Slayer puts a ward down, and talk about a lifesaver there from Slayer. My God, sticks it right on top of Bjergsen, Svenskr's head there as he's waiting inside of that brush. He's done that from feeling, and that was, well, just perfectly done. He saved him, because I think he would have gone down there in the end.
Yeah, that's just awesome communication. He knew that Jarvan was in their jungle because they had their entrances warded, but he didn't know how long Jarvan was going to be in there. So he was like, if I want to feel safe, and specifically, if I want to help my team get the blue buff as well, I need to find vision of Jarvan immediately. So he warded that as a guess. He's either with the blue or he's going to come dive me. He got the ward out. It was in exactly the right place, and it really saved them a lot of pressure.
So let's have a look through some early items here that have started to come up. Zed, no real surprises, heading straight towards that Blade of the Ruined King. I think we only saw one real deviation from that one in yesterday's games. On the other hand, Sane going to be coming in for Vayne here, with Varus going BF sword direction.
Vayne has got to be one of the best items. Just wait. Blade of the Ruined King.
Vayne is a brilliant item.
Vayne is a brilliant item for the Blade of the Ruined King champion, but I like the build actually from both Zed and Vayne. Vayne is already a Night Hunter, so the Blade of the Ruined King will just help her chase down even more so when he gets that going. And then the spike damage from Bjergsen is going to be so key. Look for Bjergsen to go and make a play pretty shortly here with that ultimate and the Bilgewater Cutlass. Yeah,
and let's not forget, we've just seen that outer turret go down in the middle. That was the second of the game for Copenhagen Wolves. So in terms of towers, they're doing really well. Jarvan is actually headed down towards Freddy here in the bottom. Godbro going to put the ultimate on. There's the jump away from Freddy. But how far is he really going to get? Svenskr waiting off from this one. There he goes, sliding in. Cataclysm comes down. Now it becomes a lot harder for Freddy to escape this one. Godbro couldn't put any damage down onto him though in that meantime. But Freddy is slowly but surely going down. There was the stun. Godbro gets the kill.
The slow play gank there from Svenskr came all the way around the back and then pulled that one off, so they paid off. That was the lane. They'd already killed the turret, so Freddy was really in no man's land in those situations. Didn't have the wards. They didn't even have the river wards to approach, and all that freezing that Freddy did, the instant the lane pushed back to the other side, he got punished with a gank.
Virtual now headed into this top lane as well, and maybe try and collapse with 3, but the ward in the Tribush will give that one away, but it gives the opportunity here for AAA to pick themselves up an outer turret. That will be their first one of the game, unless it can be stopped. The Varus ultimate not quite connecting. The hook will pull a minion in there, so both teams not really landing what they wanted to, but here comes Zed. The chase is on for Copenhagen Wolves. There is Ghost from Virtual. He wants no part of this one, but they may go in for No-No. He's going to stealth up there, but Bjergsen goes in. Gets the kill. Wild goes down as well. This could be a double for Bjergsen. Actually will pull away. Coralia's taken a lot of damage. Oh, not quite finished off there by Lulu in the end. That could have been 3 kills there for the Wolves.
And it's crazy what keeps happening in these games. Every time a team is trying to do the fast push strategy, which kind of both of them are, they're getting tremendously punished for it. That was Bjergsen running all the way up through a ward. If the test would have landed as Verisalt at the start of that, it would have easily been 3 kills. But even though it was just the one, they're probably getting yet another turret out of it. And if they get this, that'll be 3 turrets to 0.
Yeah, that's the perfect start for the Wolves as well. But, and again, I'm going to say that but out there because even though someone wrote on my Facebook page and said, Joe, stop saying but like that because it really annoys me. But it is going to come out once more, at least today. Copenhagen Wolves have had trouble finishing games before. We've seen them in these great situations after lanes, you know, turrets down, everything in their favor. But after that, they've had a bit of a problem to really push it that step further. They need to gain a real advantage, and that, from that, a win.
And the advantages they have right now are also hugely in initiation. You look at Virtual, who's on Volibear right now. He's only level 7. He's not big enough to be able to run in. Godbro, despite being denied so much, has rushed that Sunfire Cape. So, like, if Copenhagen Wolves makes the fights come to them, they're in amazingly strong territory right now. And that's why they're forcing on the Dragon. They know that No-No is up top trying to push out the top, and they're just going to take even more objectives. They're probably losing the turret up top, but they don't actually care about this as long as they can hold mid.
Dragon gone. 3,800 gold is the lead that Copenhagen Wolves have right now. You can see how that translates on the different lanes, and actually it's pretty strong across the board. Look at Zed, 5,000, let's call it, to the 3,300 of Rumble. He's got a big CS lead. Vayne is behind here by around about 300 gold. It's done a good job of farming whilst they got together as Deficio here, having to flash away, but Virtual is still chasing in there. Can he fling him backwards? Equalizer thrown down as well from Rumble. That was an interesting time.
That was almost kind of a sign that Against All Authority is going to have real trouble initiating, because that was the flash burn from their main initiator on a solo target, and all Deficio had to do was burn flash. He didn't have to do much else, didn't even have to pop his ultimate. They're trying to make a play here Against All Authority, pushing in. They pull Svensker and the turret's getting low.
Yeah, but is that the right target that they really want here? Virtual already down towards half. A Slayer comes in there. Can they get this one turned on them?
Copenhagen Wolves coming in from behind. Bjergsen with Zed looking to make a play. There's the flash.
Here we go. Varus Ultima will landing onto Coralius. There is the box, but here comes Zed to rip them to pieces. No, he's going to die. Coralius goes down. They've got 1 kill back, but it's a double for Zed. He could be more as Freddy tries to run away. He's finished up by Renekton, and that will be a 3-for-1 for the Wolves.
Warning signs had to be going off in Against All Authority once they were pushed up in that situation. They'd failed an earlier initiate. They used the Volibear fling. They'd already tried to get Schleya's equalizer out. They didn't have the things up in that fight that they needed. It allowed Copenhagen Wolves to flank around from the back. Bjergsen, again, amazing positioning, making plays happen for his team, and that is great for Copenhagen Wolves.
Bjergsen now pushing onto this inner turret in the bottom lane. Volibear's presence will force him to back off, albeit with a 4-level advantage that he has there over Virtual. Could probably turn on him, but underneath the tower, not so confident at this stage. The items that we're seeing coming out, Locket of the Iron Solari finish for both junglers in the top lane, or certainly the single lanes here. We have Sunfire Cape with a 2-0-1 Negod Bro.
And I have to make a quick correction. Virtual is, of course, a Ghost Volibear. For some reason, I thought he'd used his flash, but that's the Ghost initiation he's trying to get through. It was the flash that was burned to escape from Deficio. So it was just the Rumble ult they didn't have going down into that fight. But like you're saying, these items are getting bigger and bigger. Bjergsen, now that he's hit the level 11 as well, Zed gets huge power spikes at 11 and 16 with that ultimate spiking up, and the fact that he's gotten the Blade of the Ruined King, soon to be Black Cleaver, is going to help their entire team. Like, they know they have full physical damage, so the faster that Bjergsen gets to Black Cleaver, the bigger their team fight presence is going to be. You can get away with full AD comps nowadays as long as you get to that Black Cleaver, and as long as the other guys on your team are building the Last Whisper, which is, I think, what Copenhagen Wolves is going for across the board.
So what comes next here? Wolves are in the jungle. And actually flanking around the back there was a pink ward down by Against All Authority here in the brush, which will actually spot the push out now from Copenhagen Wolves. Godbro actually getting quite close in on towards Slayer, and this could go really wrong. The Varus ulti comes in, Slayer is popped out of nowhere. They saw that one coming, they should have been well away from that.
It's one of these problems. They've lost so many of their outer turrets, but they're still trying to farm like they haven't. They're still trying to create a laning phase. But guess what? The laning phase is over. Now it's go time because Copenhagen Wolves has 4 mid, and Freddy is still split pushing. Can Against All Authority hold against 4?
No can't do anything about the Zed in the bottom. He knows he'll get destroyed. That is the hook, but again, it's on Jarvan, the person that you don't want in the middle of your team.
And all that would happen if they pull themselves into Svensson is they'd get counter-initiated on, and this might continue. It looks like they're going to push up with 4. It will be a 4v4 soon because Bjergsen is gone, so Against All Authority would want to initiate it this time, but Copenhagen Wolves sensed it and they're going back.
Wolves dropping back off there. There's a ping in the river by the Baron as Bjergsen closes in on towards Freddy. He's going to dump everything he can onto him here. Will he be able to get the kill? Freddy is going down. He's not going to survive this one. If he does escape this, then he's going to be chased down by someone else as he gets the void spikes. There's the Q from the test. I mean, as I said, if he'd have survived that 1v1, the rest of the Wolves were hunting him down.
It's an awesome snipe shot from the Tess. I love seeing the full charge piercing arrow just cut through. You don't actually get to see it that often because normally he's trying to stack up triple blight and then just quickly shoot it off to proc it. So a rare snipe that we get to see the Tess showing off his geometry skills as they were trying to run away there. And that's just another bad thing that happened for Against All Authority. They got 3 turrets down, luckily, but they're down 5 turrets of their own. They're also down 5,000 gold. Their items just haven't caught up to the point yet. Schleia, yes, he has the magic penetration on Rumble, but his ultimates haven't been able to be thrown in the right place. Like, they can get the Rumble ultimate down, but unless they're going in with Corrales' Thresh or something and catching it inside the box, they're not keeping people on the equalizer for long enough for it actually to burn them down. Copenhagen Wolves is choosing when and where to fight. They have more initiation, they seem to have more control, and also Copenhagen Wolves just seems to have a better sense for the way this game is going. Against All Authority keeps pushing up in lanes where they shouldn't be. And let's see if that happens again as Copenhagen Wolves is probably moving towards this dragon in about 45 seconds.
Yep, going to be coming up here as soon as they go in on towards Freddy. They're going to go starting in with this one. The Lantern comes down, but Virtual gets caught. He throws Jarvan outside of Cataclysm, but it's not going to mean a thing because the Tessa's ultimate has caught them all in this one. Corralius will die. Freddy jumps away, but that's another 2 for nothing for the Wolves.
It's another one of these situations. AAA only has 4 people in the mid lane. They have no turrets to fall back into. Why are you in the river? Svensson jumps on you every single time. Nono is trying to split push, but they're in danger of losing their inhibitor. No, get back to the base.
No, it's pushing the outer turret in that bottom lane and actually not even fast enough to come straight back. He's getting the minions while he's there as well. And this is an inhibitor. Gonna go down. Yes, they've managed to pick up that turret. Are they gonna try and chase back to Bjergsen, who was fairly low after that encounter? Actually, Freddy is coming out there. No may try and head them off, but I'm not sure that he really wants to get involved. And another question for you, Jack. I mean, No is obviously going to get stronger as things go along, but how do they protect him against a Zed that's going to dive in there, a Jarvan that's right on top of him, and Renekton that slices and dices his way in?
You're already seeing Nono preparing for that because, like, he knows the team can't protect him that well. He's already built the Ninja Tabi, he's got a Blade of the Rune King, his own defensive item, and he's built the Giant's Belt. So it's like they don't have protection for him. He's got to fend for himself, which, you know, I was telling him to get back to base, but I think he probably made the right call there. They were already 5v3, even if he was back. They probably couldn't have held the inhibitor, and Nono did pick up a turret for his team, and he got much needed farm on his own. I've seen him make trade-offs like this last week when he was playing SK. Like, they actually gave up a dragon, this is Against All Authority, just so Nono could farm a couple waves of creeps over in the top lane. So they want him to power up, very much so, but this is becoming a very bad situation for them. Nono, you know, maybe he can get involved in the team fight. I don't think he's there yet. Against All Authority has to be a lot more passive than they're being because it has been proven that Copenhagen Wolves can start fights on them. And Copenhagen Wolves is stronger, so we'll see if that trend continues.
Yeah, there's a Black Cleaver as well now finished for Zed. That item that we were talking about earlier on, we've got the Cutlass finished off by Varus, along with that Bloodthirst from a little bit earlier on. If you look at Renekton, he's got a Sunfire cape in there. He's moving up towards that Last Whisper as well. So, you know, you talked about that combo that they need to reach. They're really close to it now.
Yeah, at least they got the Black Cleaver, and that's like almost over half the battle because that's armor pen for everyone. The Last Whisper is just icing on the cake for anyone who gets that there. And you can see the test is off, split pushing the top. I'm looking at Against All Authority here. They really want to fight them, but they just can't get the initiations. It's just Virtual's Volibear who really has to start it. All he has is that Rolling Thunder, and he's just getting kited around.
Yeah, no Ghost for him up at this stage, which he definitely is going to need to do something with here. Of course, Super Minions are coming down the middle lane, making it harder for Against All Authority to push that one up and force Copenhagen Wolves to respond to it. As we see them back away once again, they don't have any ward coverage really at all here Against All Authority in their top side of the jungle around that Baron. And to be honest, they probably can't afford it right now. I mean, we've got the Ruby Sightstone in with Thresh, but that's only a limited amount, and they're gonna need more at this point.
And you look, the Oracles is on Deficio. Everyone up Against All Authority is off farming. Like, this is another situation. Nono's trying to get that big wave, but he's so far away from this fight that if Against All Authority goes to get this, they're going to get peeled off and killed. This is really, really bad for Against All Authority. I don't know how they're going to deal with this Baron, but they pretty much have to just run headlong into Copenhagen Wolves and fight.
Yeah, they're going to have to fight this one out. Deficio trying to keep them all zoned off as Freddy going to take a lot of double damage. The Equalizer comes down, the boxers in position as Bjergsen is now on a rampage. They're splitting off, chasing everywhere they can. Corellius is going to try and knock them off their target, but it's not going to work for them. Virtual is going to go down here, and that is going to be 3 men picked off. Nono and Slayer have come in from that back side, but look at the Wolves. They've lost, okay, round about 2/3 of the health on some players, but the rest are very, very healthy still here for those 3 kills.
And it's the fact that these aren't real team fights. Against All Authority is going in one at a time. Copenhagen Wolves is together. This is why they're 4-2 in their last 6 games, because they forced the Baron at that time. The bottom lane is just pushing itself. Nono's got to get back to stop this stuff from happening. This is so good for Copenhagen Wolves.
It's everything coming together for them here. And the irony as well, in that bottom lane, Nono was farming that when that Baron started off. But they still pushed through, and they've taken down that inhibitor turret in the bottom lane. So only the top lane has an inhibitor. Actually, there's an outer turret still there in the top. Wolves don't seem too concerned about the whole top side of the map at this stage, but they have the Baron buff on them now, and this is where it gets really scary for Against All Authority. And actually, they are going to surrender it. They're going to give the game up. Copenhagen Wolves will